Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another ChefIe Talks. Today, I'm going to be kind of responding to a response from Dungeon Master Blobe, I guess you can call it. He just wanted me to do a video about my experiences with tabletop gaming and stuff like that. So this is going to be kind of off the top of my head because I couldn't think of anything to write down or anything like that. But my experiences with tabletop gaming, I don't really have too much because mainly a lot of our games are either cut short or I have to work. Like the other three guys in my party don't work or anything, so I have to go to work, and my job is like 5 days a week, and then I have to spend Sunday with my wife because that's her day off, and then Saturday, usually I have to watch my daughter. So yeah, I don't really have any time to like physically go over there, but you know, I'll get back into talking about that in just a second. Um, Now I'm gonna start from the very beginning, as far as my experiences with gaming and stuff like that. And what do I mean about that is starting from the time you walk in the door to whenever you get to actually play. Not from the very beginning of my gaming and stuff like that. I'll probably do another video about that, but uh, today I'm just going to be talking about like sitting down one day playing. Um, so you start out, you walk in the door, and you say hey to everybody, and you're talking and everything like that. Well, the main problem with my group is that I don't get to see them very often. So whenever I do, uh, we have this time that we talk, and we talk too much, and then we start playing the game and we still talk and we talk and talk and talk, which it's partially mostly my fault because I like to talk. But once we actually get into the game, it's a lot better as long as we don't stop. And usually in D&D, you have to stop, redo your stats, find spells, blah blah blah, and then you might have one or two people in your party that are slower at finding things. Like I'm pretty slow at finding things because I'm not like the rest of my group where they have time to practice and flip through the book and see exactly where everything's at and everything like that. So it's a little bit harder for me personally to do stats and stuff like that in the middle of the game because then I get distracted and then I'm not into the game anymore and then I'm like the I'm not wanting to play anymore. I'm just wanting to talk. But so for me personally, um, when we do play and it's actually good sessions and everything like that. So say we're making a new character, which I hate to do, which in my group they love to do it. Not saying like everybody likes to do it. It's just they make new characters every 2 seconds it seems like, which I don't personally like. But hey, they make sacrifices for me because they don't really like playing D&D as much as I do. They like playing World of Darkness better now, but I personally like playing Dungeons and Dragons. Um, because it's like I don't know. For me, Dungeons and Dragons is like home. It's a little less serious compared to World of Darkness. World of Darkness has more of a real undertone for me, which everybody knows if you watch any of my other videos about gaming and stuff. I like fantasy kind of stuff. Which you can play fantasy in World of Darkness. Don't get me wrong. It's just D&D has that WoW kind of feel to it. And I don't mean like wow. I mean like World of Warcraft feel. It has where it takes a couple of hits before you get killed. You have opportunities to come back to life, and I'm not sure. I haven't played a lot of World of Darkness, but I'm sure you can be brought to life if you have a nice dungeon master or whatever they call them in that game. But I mean, you can play werewolves, vampires, all that good stuff. But um, in my opinion, I like D&D better than I like World of Darkness. So they sacrifice for me and they play Darkness with me. But on the other hand, uh, sometimes they get bored and so they go on without me, and so we end up making new characters. Which for me, making new characters is the hardest part of a game. Playing it perfectly fine. I can stay concentrated playing it. I can sit there and, have fun playing it. Making a character is my worst enemy. I hate it with a passion. I'd rather have a year long or longer campaign that might get a little dry and stale after a little while, but then it comes back and it turns into this awesome campaign again. Rather than making a new campaign, having to level one again, having to freaking write down spells, because I get into it. I write down my spells in a book, and I sometimes I write it in shorthand, sometimes I write it as a different name. I get into it whenever I play a bard, a spellcaster of any kind, wizards, what else is there? Sorcerer, all that good stuff. I really get into it and I write down the spells out of the book and I'll shorthand it, or I'll sometimes in some games I'll even write out the whole entire spell just because it's easier for me to look in that book rather than go to my player's handbook every 2 seconds and have to look through all the spells that they have whenever I only have like 5 spells. That's not true. I usually have a little bit more than that. But anyways, um, so I really get into it, and for me to make a new character, and usually I pick out a couple different spells than the last time I played. It's a pain in the butt for me to make a new character. So I'm pretty much getting burnt out on making new characters. And by the way, before I go any further, sorry to my group if this sounds like a hate video. It's not a hate video. I enjoy playing with these guys more than anything, and I don't care what it is. It could be tabletop. It could be playing Hello Kitty for all I care. As long as I'm playing with these guys, I love them, and I wouldn't want to play with anybody else. Um, Keeping that in mind, who wants to join our group? No, I'm kidding. Anyways, so making new characters suck for me because it's not just all right, I have 5 other characters in my mind. I'm gonna write down the stats. I'm gonna write down this. For me, because I don't have time in my average day life to sit there and say, okay, crap, here's a good character idea. Bard that, let me think of something. A bard that is married and, he's been married to his wife for 10 years and an assassin came into his house one day and killed off his wife, even though they were just, regular old people that enjoyed the country life. He came in there and assassinated his wife while he was out tilling the farms one day. And so now his life goal, this is horrible, by the way. This is like cut dry freaking storyline. But, anyways, um, so he killed, or better yet, he kidnapped his wife. And so he's trying to find that person. And that, like, stuff like that would give the, uh, the DM a storyline to go off of. Just keep that in mind as well. But, anyways, I don't come up with that every day. Now that I have a couple days off and everything, I can think of stuff like that every once in a while, but usually I don't. Usually I'm too busy thinking about other stuff like what am I gonna make for dinner, or something like that. Um, so I don't sit here and write down new character ideas, and I don't have 10 other characters. Whenever I sit down at the table, I have enough time to come up with a character and figure out what spells I want, and then they're already done with theirs, and I'm sitting here fapping and friggin' uh, just trying to figure out what spells I want, trying to figure out how much money I have, trying to figure out this, while they're already done and they're looking on YouTube or doing whatever they're doing, um, or helping me, whatever. But so I don't have much time to come up with stuff. Like I always come up with okay backstories and stuff. Like my dungeon master likes them. He's actually made a whole campaign off of one that I just like randomly came up with in my head. But just making a character in general for me is hard. So, anyways, so after you sit down, you're talking, and I'm sitting there trying to make a character, and then I have distractions on top of that because they're already done making their character sheet, so I'm still making mine, and I have distractions all around me, and I work horribly with distractions, anyways. Um, so you're done with all that. Get into the game, and you're having a good time, and then you notice someone power leveling or someone not into the game. That's even worse. Power leveling, you can work around. I can work around that. I can be like, okay, you go over there and slaughter this bunch of people while I go solve this puzzle over here. You know, get him out of there for a minute, and then I can concentrate on what I like to do, which is role playing. I'm not the best actor in the world, but I do like to have serious conversations with other characters in the game. Um, that's how I build relationships in the game with the people that I'm with. Uh, but then you have the guy that, for some reason, he just doesn't like the campaign. So he either gets his character killed off and makes another one because he's bored of killing everything with the same character, so he makes another character, or he doesn't talk, he doesn't do anything, he just kind of like walks around with your group, and he just sits around and doesn't really do anything, waits for you to come up with the actions. And I've done that a couple times, but that's mainly because I don't know what I'm doing. Um, and I don't have that kind of personality as far as being in the game uh, to go up to people. Well, lately I've been doing this, but generally I don't have that kind of uh, uh, rambunctious kind of vibe where I go up to people and I'm like, "Hey, uh, I'm looking for this person. Tell me where they're at." And then that person will be like, "Okay, they're over here in the woods." And then you run into somebody else, and you're like, "Hey, do you have a job that I can do?" and stuff like that. So I don't really have that mentality, but I've been getting better at it as I go along. But whenever there's nobody really taking charge, that's whenever the uh, that's whenever the game gets boring. Um, and for me, that's happened a couple times. Not too often because, like I said, we've been playing with the same group a lot. Uh, and I try not to get bored with it, no matter what I'm doing. But the thing is, if you even show that you're bored a little bit, if you're with a close knit group, then they can tell instantly. And then from then on out, the game is going to be boring. It's going to be dry. It's going to be lackluster. And if you know your DM, you know that you know his potential. And so if you get bored, or one of your other guys gets bored, or especially the worst part of it is if the DM gets bored with the game. That is no offense, Blow, but I've seen it happen. Um, but anyways, if the DM gets bored, that is the worst part because then the characters have to kind of like come up with the story by themselves. It hasn't happened a lot, but I've seen it a time or two where he gets tired, he gets burnt out because everybody comes over there all the time, and then they bother him so much that he can't think of good ideas. I've seen it happen. So that's why, even if you don't want to stop playing, like these guys play hardcore all the time. So even if the DM doesn't feel like playing, but he does want to be a player, someone else needs to DM every once in a while. I'm not the best DM. I come up with random goofy crap that doesn't really make any sense. I will have examples in another video because I do have some pretty funny examples. One, I've done 2 games, yeah, so far, and I want to do another one, but they don't like my DMing. But anyways, if the DM gets bored, that is the worst thing possible because pretty much you're SOL. You are out of luck as far as the game goes. You might as well go ahead and call it a day and leave, or call it a day and hang out with each other. That's what I like to do. I like to have a medium length game that doesn't take all day. It takes a couple hours, and then, excuse me, sorry about that. But a medium length game that lasts like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, and then the rest of the time you just kind of hang out with your people. And if y'all want to play again, go ahead and play again, depending on how long everybody can stay. Um, so that's just me as far as that goes. Um, Let me think. What else? The only other thing with uh, Dungeons and Dragons is there is a lot of dice rolls in that one compared to World of Darkness. World of Darkness. I have a hard time saying that one. Compared to World of Darkness, there is a crap ton of dice rolls. Like literally every single thing you have to do, whether it's jumping, hiding, sneaking, listening, everything, you have to make a dice roll for it. Unless you have a nice DM that is more enthralled with the story compared to game mechanics, then you can be like, all right, you have really heavy armor, but you have awesome hide checks and stuff, and even with the penalties and stuff, you can pass it. But a sensible DM would be like, you know, you're in this castle, everything's really acoustic, so you have this really heavy armor, you're in a castle acoustic, and there's guards everywhere. You're trying to make a roll, and you're trying to make a sneak check, and you pass it. The DM might be like, bro, that wouldn't work in real life, so I'm not going to let it work here. That's what I like more than having the statistics of things. Or, like, in a better example, if you're sitting by a campfire and it's nighttime and nobody's really talking, they just had a big battle, so everybody's kind of like quiet. They're trying to regain what they've lost and everything. But you hear like something big making a lot of noise in the background. Obviously, you don't need to make a listen check to hear a rhino in the back. That's obviously that wouldn't really be back there, but to hear something behind you that's making a lot of noise, knocking trees over, you're not going to need to make a listen check for that unless you're sleeping and you're a heavy sleeper, which I am. I would probably sleep through in real life. But anyways, if everybody is awake and they hear that, you don't really have to make a listen check. So if you have a nice DM, that's nice. You don't have to make rolls as much and stuff like that. And that is the good thing about World of Darkness. Um, so as far as D&D goes, as long as I can stay on track and the group stays on track, I love it to death. And if we don't have to make a million characters, I love it to death. Um, I'd play any day that I can. Uh, as far as World of Darkness goes, I like how easy it is. It's easy to jump in and out of, because you don't have like, even if your group continues without you, it's harder to level up on there or harder to get XP on there. So it's not as much that you have to catch up on. Like one of my characters, their group, their group goes out, and mine is a rock star, so he has like shows that he has to do. So he has to go to town to town to town, and sometimes I'll meet back up, and then they'll go do a mission or something together, and then I'll go back on the road. Or sometimes I'll like one of the other characters might die, so um, I'll stop at one place and there'll be a haunting at a house or something like that, and I find out there's actually another ghost hunter there or something. This is all off the top of my head, so I see another ghost hunter and I want to help them out. So that's how I encompass a new group. Um, Now, as far as if you want to keep a steady game, and I don't know why, well, mainly because my group doesn't have any, like, two of us have webcams and two of us don't. So it makes it harder for us to, like, act out and get the real emotions from the facial animations and everything like that whenever you don't have that. But the easiest thing to do, if you have a group like mine, where I have to work all the time and uh, I can't really go over there as much as I need to, or I can't stay as long as I can, or I have kids, or I have a daughter, so I can't go over there as much. So the best thing, let me finish this. The best thing to do is get on Google Hangouts, Skype, something like that, with three people that have pretty good webcams. Mine is a Logitech, so it's not like super expensive or anything like that. I think I got it for $60. And y'all see the video that it comes up with. Obviously, on Skype and stuff, it might lower the resolution because it's streaming it, not filming it. Um, but for a $60 uh, uh, webcam, you can still do good games and everything like that. So if you can't get together, or even if like one of your group members moved away, but you still want to play with them, get a webcam, get decent internet, play with each other. That simple. And the thing is, that means you guys can talk more often because you have your headphones, you can play online games together. So you've already had the conversational part of it out of the way. So by the time you get on the webcam, you're ready to sit down and play. There's no conversation in it. And usually, if there is conversation in the game, it's because of the game. And at that point, you can do all the conversating in character. Uh, so, yeah, that's my recommendation for either long distance or, um, you know, uh, long distance or people that have a busy schedule, how to play tabletop gaming. Obviously, if you are in a group that you can't really trust everybody, like as far as doing roles and stuff, it makes it a little bit harder. But you can be like, okay, Jim, I need to see your role. So you go ahead and you tilt the webcam down. It's annoying, but you can't really see it. It takes a minute to focus, but you can kind of make out it's a 14. So you can do that if you don't trust somebody. But everybody in my group, I pretty much trust them all. I would take a bullet for any of them, and they would do the same for me. But sorry about that. So it's not really a rolling issue. So, and that's another thing. Get with a group that you can trust. Don't get with a whole bunch of liars and stuff like that, because for some reason people will cheat. I have no idea why. I have no earthly idea why somebody would cheat at a tabletop game whenever it's supposed to be role playing. Yeah, you might get scratched up and dinged up or even maybe die, but if you are playing good enough and you have a nice DM, sometimes there are jerk DMs out there. Don't get me wrong, but if you have a nice enough DM and you have been playing a character good enough, like uh, playing a pretty much a role in a movie almost, maybe, just maybe, your DM will bring you back. Maybe he'll bring you back to life. Mine has done that for me for like one or two different characters. He's given me an option for one, but I didn't want to play that character anymore. But you know, he knows that my DM knows when a good game is going, and he doesn't want to quit the good game just because one character may have died. Obviously, you can bring somebody back in D&D with by taking them to a priest or whatever you want to call them, a shaman, not a shaman, a cleric, and paying out the butthole for it, or you can have a cleric in your group. But anyways, that's beside the point. He knows when a good game is going right and stuff like that, and he has some dynamic characters that he just does not want to mess up. He does not want that one person to have to make a new character, level them up to the other guys' levels and everything like that. Figure out a backstory on for that character, you know. So he will bring you back to life via if you worship somebody. Um, our DM gives us, or he used to, he would give us one like real life playing card, and he would say, "Okay, that's your get out of free card. If you die, you get to use that one time." There's all kinds of things that you can implement into the game. That if you have an awesome character, you have awesome players, and you have an awesome DM, and you don't want the story to end, maybe just maybe he'll give you a way back. Sometimes you just have to die. You know, that's all part of playing a role playing game, a good role playing game. Sometimes you have to have that heartbreak in there. Sometimes you get in a relationship and like girlfriend boyfriend relationship, and he kills off the character that you love, or makes the other character into a lesbian. That's happened. Uh, but anyways, uh, so he has to add those kind of things in there for heartbreak to give a better story. So it's not just like a flat piece of paper where you draw a character on there and then that's it. He has to give characters dynamic and give them a body to work with. So I kind of lost my track on the from the beginning, but in general, just a recap. If you have a good group, good system where you walk in, you have 30 minutes to talk. You have, if you have snacks, go ahead and eat your snacks, stuff like that. Do a 30 minutes of talking, get into game immediately. Don't stall around. Don't be freaking taking forever doing everything. Get into character as quick as possible. That's another thing I'll get into. Um, and you know, start playing. That's the main thing. As soon as you start playing, everything gets easy. It's like butter. So, uh, and then long distance stuff. It's the same thing. You don't bring snacks into the room, or have you make sure your kids are somewhere where they won't bother you while you're in game because you're trying to stay in that character mindset. But other than that, everything is fun. You have a good time playing role playing games. I love it. I thought I wouldn't like it because I'm not much of an actor. I'm better at like talking to people in my normal voice and everything like that, just talking one on one with people, helping them out with their problems and stuff like that. So playing a character for me at first was extremely hard. Um, but now that I've been playing for a little while now, it's better. Now, getting back into the character thing, there are some DMs out there. I'm going to leave the names unmentioned. Um, that don't think it is important to get into character. Meaning, you put on this accent, and I don't know what kind of accent that is, but anyways, you put on this accent where you talk like this all the time, and you have this suave, debonair presentation of yourself, and that's how your character is. If you can't come up with something like that, if you think that that's all the game is about, it's not. But at the same time, it is. You need to be in that kind of mindset where you can go from that kind of character, where if your character dies or something, you have to make a new character. You can go from this suave guy to a tough and gruff, mean son of a gun that doesn't take crap from nobody. You know, you have to be able to switch it up some. Um, at the beginning, obviously, you might hear my daughter laughing out there. Uh, but at the beginning, it's hard because you may have never done anything like that before. But uh, in general, you need to try to do it because it makes the game so much better if you can get into character and if all your players can get into character with you, and even if your DM has to get into it. As long as everybody can kind of come up with a rough accent or come up with something to put on the table, it just makes the game that much better. Some people, yeah, you have a really short time that you can play. It's hard for all the characters to get into accent or get into character, and so you don't have to do it if you're just sitting there. Okay, numbers are everything. That's all you want to do. Numbers. Roll dice. Go defeat a dragon. That's it. But if you actually want to play a movie in real life, well, not real life, but if you want to play a movie in your imagination, that is key. Getting into character and role playing it. There are times that I look around the table and I don't see my friends anymore. I see characters. Well, they are my friends in game too, but I see characters that you know me and Slothy might get into a like. I want to jump across the table and beat the crap out of this kid for saying some of the stuff that he says, and then vice versa for me. I'm sure some of the other people want to beat the crap out of me for the things that we say, but that's because we're so in deep in our conversations and so in deep in our characters that we feel those real emotions where we just want to beat the crap out of each other. And we really laugh. We really are sad over somebody dying. Like one of my favorite characters in all the games is named Wilford. He was a kobold that how do they describe him? My players describe him really well. But anyways, he was this kobold that followed us around. He was a big help in some situations, and he just brought in the story. And he died. That was literally, I just got goosebumps thinking about it. Most sad moment of my gaming life, and all of us were just about in tears. It was just depressing, but that's what makes a good game. Not numbers, not statistics, you being able to imagine that. It's like reading a book, being able to imagine the characters jumping out of the page of the book and being in your mind, seeing the dragon, like thinking of Lord of the Rings or seeing something, or The Hobbit, seeing Smaug coming out of the book and burning down everything, or whatever, just like the movies. That's what makes this game what it is. Not just the numbers. The numbers have a part in it, but not just the numbers. It's being able to imagine the skeleton uh, walking past you, or imagining like a slime engulfing your body, and you're in this disgusting ooze that it's impossible to get out of, and you're going to die, but then your friends get you out just at the last minute. That's the stuff that makes D&D what it is, or any role-playing game what it is, and how you get into the game. But anyways, that's pretty much everything for today, or for this video. I might do some more tonight. But that was mostly D&D, kind of my overview of D&D. I might go into other games. I might do a 2-in-1. So I might do, what's that game called? Call of Cthulhu, because I only played like a little bit of that, and it was fun. And then I we'll do a little bit of World of Darkness because they both kind of have the same vibe for me, as far as what I've played and everything. So, as always, everybody, stay beautiful. Stay. How do I say that? Well, that's not good. Stay beautiful. Stay sexy. Stay chefy. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed because all that was off the top of my head. So I'm sorry if it turned into a rambling video, but I love you guys and good night.